Hello, I'm Mayor Brad Pike. Welcome to the Explore Eagle podcast, where you can learn more about our city of Eagle and our community. Hi everybody, I'm Brad Pike, your mayor for the city of Eagle, and today we're with Chief Travis Ruby, and we're doing a special podcast just talking about the Eagle Police Department, what you do, and why you got into this line of work to start off with, because I think people are more interested sometimes in your personality and what got you here. But why don't we start off with that?
Like many people in public service, there's a certain personality and a certain type of patriotism and love for community, love for country, love for state that gets you into that public service, whether it be military service, police service, fire service, ambulance and EMS paramedics. So when I moved to Idaho over 25 years ago, I found the Ada County Sheriff's Office as a place where I wanted to work. And throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to work in a variety of assignments that have been incredibly beneficial to me to understanding just what it takes to ensure that our city, our county, and our state remain incredible for our visitors, our guests, and of course our residents here. But I started at the Sheriff's Office in a role in inmate records where I learned more about our jail system and our court system. And then I transferred to the jail and worked in the jail for a couple years before coming out to patrol. And during my time in patrol, I actually spent 5.5 years serving the city of Eagle from about 2004 to 2009. In 2009, I was selected to go to Eagle High School as a school resource officer, which was an absolutely incredible experience. I got to see some amazing young men and young women who were at the very beginning of their lives and beginning of adulthood, and seeing the things that they can go out and accomplish. And now fast forward, 13 years later, I have the opportunity to work with some of those folks who were students of mine while I served as the SRO. In 2012, I was transferred to major crimes investigations as a polygraph examiner, where I primarily conducted polygraphs on criminal investigations and pre-employment investigations. But I had the opportunity to work with a lot of different partners throughout the state, such as our Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, to help investigate those crimes and resolve those issues. In 2020, I was promoted to the rank of sergeant, transferred back to the Ada County Jail, where I served as a sergeant inside of our jail units. And in 2021, I was transferred to the Ada County Courthouse and tasked to building the court security team and merging with other resources that were already at the courthouse. Later that year, I was promoted to lieutenant, and I managed our court security team, our transports and extraditions unit, and our community transition center deputies. And then in January of 2024, I was selected to be the next police chief for the city of Eagle, and that's where I've served ever since.
Yeah, and the thing is, you've done a succession up the ladder, so you kind of have experienced different things from different elements all the way up to get you into this administrative role, which has a different element to it altogether, in dealing with people like myself as the mayor and having to interact with the citizens, but also with that responsibility as the administrator, you have a certain staffing level you have right now, and you can talk a little bit about your staff and how many you have and what the roles are and what they actually do in our community.
Absolutely. So our staffing level as of this new fiscal year, we are adding a full-time detective sergeant, and we're also adding a resource of a canine to an existing patrolman, and then we'll bring in one of our SROs from one of our Eagle schools to help with our foothills enforcement and address some of the juvenile issues that we see. But currently our full-time staffing is 34 full-time employees. Of those 34, 31 are commissioned peace officers, which means they're licensed patrolmen or peace officers in the state of Idaho. With our staffing model, though, we divide that between investigations, patrol, administration. So on a daily basis, we have 7 patrolmen for 24 hours of service, and we have 2 patrol teams. So when one patrol team is working, the other patrol team is off. It's the simplest way I've found to explain it is it's kind of like a fire schedule. With fire crews or firehouses, you have 3 different shifts. You have an A shift, a B shift, and a C shift. And when A shift is working, B and C are off. Well, for us, we have a blue and a silver. And so when blue patrol team is working, those 7 patrolmen are scheduled for 11-hour shifts, just under 11-hour shifts at a time. So we don't have all 7 patrolmen on 24 hours, but we do have, they overlap with each other, but we have those 7 patrolmen on. Last year, our city council and mayor approved the budget to add 2 more patrol sergeants. And so we have about 21 hours of coverage from patrol sergeants for those 7 patrolmen. which has just been an absolutely incredible addition to our service to the city of Eagle. Our mission statement is our goal, and that's to make Eagle a safer place to live, work, and play. And what that means is that every day that we come to work, whether it's our patrolmen, our community service officers, our detectives, or our supervisors, our leadership team, that we are doing things to ensure that if you live here, it's a safe place to live and you feel comfortable walking around your neighborhood and going to the city parks and going to community events that the city plans and puts on, or the recreation activities. We want to make sure that first and foremost. But also we have guests, we have friends and family members who come and visit us, and we want them to come here and recognize what an amazing city that Eagle is, and all the opportunities that are here for business and growth and recreation. And then of course we have our foothills, and we have our rivers, and we have parks where people can come and play, and we want people visiting us. And while you're here, please visit our businesses. We want to make sure that those who work here, whether you own a business or you're here providing for your family, that you're safe coming and going from work, and you're safe while you're at work. Your businesses are safe, and we're going to do all that we can to ensure that our customers and our guests and our friends, whether they're shopping here, living here, or recreating here, that you're safe. So those are our daily goals.
What is your staff and their day-to-day operations? What are some of the crimes that they kind of see, or what's some of the calls for service that your deputies find during their daily shifts?
Well, I think the number one complaint that we receive is traffic related. When we talk to citizens or have calls, it's generally traffic related. We have 4 highways that run through the city of Eagle, and those highways lead to downtown Boise, which is where there's a lot of activities. They also lead up into our recreating areas in Idaho, outside of our county, into the foothills and into the mountains. And so we do see a lot of traffic related issues with those 4 highways. Holiday weekends are especially heavy in traffic, but also we have a lot of construction. There's our partners at ITD and ACHD are working to improve our roadways and make things better, but there's certainly growing pains when we have those construction projects, whether it be maintaining roads or expanding roads or building new roads. It creates inconvenience, and so traffic is a large portion of what we address. Unfortunately, we deal with a lot of mental health type calls and mental crisis calls. That's just a growing trend throughout the country, and we're seeing that here. And the nice thing about our unit is, even though we're 34 strong full-time employees, but we have resources from the Ada County Sheriff's Office to help us, such as our crisis intervention team, and they follow up on all mental health calls, which is incredibly important that we get the resources to those citizens in need and the families, so that they can, again, enjoy this community as best as they can. The other types of calls that we tend to deal with juvenile related calls. One of the growing trends right now is electronic bikes, or e-bikes, and we see a lot of kids that are out riding. Essentially, they're motorcycles is what they are, but they're electric motorcycles that aren't registered. They're not following rules of the road, and they're endangering other people. And so we want to address that trend, and we do that through education. Our school resource officers, we have 4 school resource officers in the city of Eagle at our Eagle schools, but those are funded through the West Ada School District. So it's not an additional burden to the city taxes. But those school resource officers are so important because they develop relationships with their students, and they can educate them through classroom sessions, through one-on-one conversations. They can meet with parents, and we rely on them heavily to help educate the juveniles, the children, and their parents on various topics that are related to juveniles. Being a teenager today is difficult. It was difficult when I was a teenager, but the number one change is technology. Our kids today have more access to information than ever before, but that doesn't necessarily mean wisdom. And so that's where our school resource officers, our patrolmen, and our community outreach, attending homeowners association meetings, attending community events, and building those relationships is critically important.
Yeah, and we kind of touched a little bit on some of that, but you also, some of the community outreach things you do in the police work, but can you give us some examples? I mean, you and I have gone out to HOA meetings, we've talked about certain things, the needs for like noise pollution, sound issues with large vehicles, driving by their homes with Jake brakes and stuff like that. But also the partnerships, kind of like with BLM, for example, the Bureau of Land Management, that when the things are happening up in the hills, that it's in their jurisdiction, but kind of talk a little bit to the public so they understand you're going to go and meet the need of the emergency and take care of it, but then you hand off that football, if you will, to the jurisdiction that is responsible for that area. But how do you interact with these other agencies? Of course, fire and police is obvious combination, and then EMS. But when we get into these things with federal, areas of land and stuff, how do you interact with them, and what's kind of the roles that you say, well, we're going to do up to our limit, and then we have to pass that baton legally to the next jurisdiction?
I'll start with our relationship with our Eagle Fire District and Chief Lewis, and what an incredible leader he is, and what an incredible team he has. We are fortunate to share space. So our patrol teams work out of Eagle Fire Station number 1. And so we have that constant communication at that level. But then our administrative building, we rent space from the Eagle Fire District, and so we share that space. So Chief Lewis and I and the rest of his leadership team and the rest of our leadership team meet regularly to discuss things, and so we understand each other, so we can best work together, because we do have shared resources that from time, or overlapping resources was probably a better phrase. At times we have drones that at times we can launch those drones, and in conjunction with battalion commander, division commander, who can look and direct us to what they're seeing, and they can communicate that to their crews to keep their crews safer. And so we're incredibly fortunate to have that relationship. As far as other relationships, that's kind of what my career has been, is understanding collaboration. Mm-hmm. No one entity can do everything, and we have to share resources, we have to share information, and we have to collaborate in order to achieve our goals of making Eagle a safer place to live, work, and play. So you brought up the Bureau of Land Management, and certainly we have resources with them and their fire investigators and their rangers that we speak to regularly. And when things happen in those areas, we collaborate. And there's always jurisdictional discussions, but it's not protective. It's which entity can provide the best service, which entity can resolve this issue the fastest. And at times that's us, and at times that might be Bureau of Land Management to work through that. We also work with, I mentioned, our Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. We work with them. We work with local legislators on trends. Obviously, we work with the city. I attend all of your department director meetings, so I'm able to share information with the Eagle department directors, because the things that happen often affect law enforcement, or they impact different departments, such as public works. When we have damage to a park, we want to resolve that, and we want the people who caused that damage to be responsible for reimbursing the city, so that way the city taxpayers aren't liable for the funds of damage. But those department directors, those meetings have been incredibly helpful, because it's allowed me to build relationships with them to where I can share information. We also have our building inspectors and our planning and zoning who issue permits. Mm-hmm. And at times their staff is out and about, and if there's a road closure, I can notify them that we've had some sort of spill on a highway and the highway's blocked, and then they can communicate that with their staff, so that way they can be on time to the rest of their appointments, and they don't keep our citizens, our contractors and developers waiting.
Well, I could tell you the time that we've spent together, I really appreciate the interaction that you and I have established. You have a great partnership. I appreciate the fact you keep me up to date on anything going on within the city that you think is relevant to the need, just in case the public wants answers for that. And I think that communication line is viable, and it's an absolute need for that. So as we wrap up this podcast though today, Chief, is there anything else that you kind of want to convey to the community that we haven't had an opportunity with the past questions that you would like to get out to them?
I think the most important thing is that since I transferred to Eagle in 2004 for the first time, and even before that when I was in training, I worked in Eagle at times. But this is just an incredible city. We have amazing citizens, and certainly it has grown. It has grown geographically in our square mileage, and it's grown in our population. But what hasn't changed is the support from our neighbors, our homeowners associations, our businesses, and most importantly, our citizens. That when our deputies are out and they're walking through parks or going to a school, we just get incredible support. People are so appreciative of our law enforcement team and what we do here in Eagle as the police department. And I just can't express that enough. And certainly, over the last year and a half that I've been the chief, just the relationship with you and the city council and the city as a whole has been so collaborative, and where we're trying to solve problems to make Eagle a safe place to live, work, and play.
Right.
But that's truly what we want to do, and I can't express how much I appreciate our businesses and our citizens and our residents in this great city.
And as I always convey to my staff as in the city itself, but you've definitely integrated yourself into that team concept. And as I always push the term team, I mean, you're always going to have a captain of a team, and you're the captain as chief of your team, and I'm the captain and chief of our team as the city. But collaboratively, and along with the other agencies that we use, we can't do this individually. We can't do this autocratically. It takes a good team of people that are committed and willing to partner with each other and not have this isolated dictatorship type mentality to it. So I appreciate that from you as a chief of our police department. And I look forward to the many years in the future that we work together and how we collaborate the efforts and meet the needs of the public. And I think that's important, and it's an imperative tool that a lot of communities don't have that luxury of having that interaction, the one-on-ones and the team concept the way we do. So I appreciate that from you, and I look forward to continuing our successful business together. And thank you for coming out today and enjoying this podcast.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Mr. Mayor.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Explore Eagle Podcast, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve you as the Mayor of Eagle. If you have any topics you would like us to discuss on the podcast, please email us at pio@cityofeagle.org.